You guys in Mah Tovu. That was said in or written in Kafir Shpeitet. You're holding chapter 4, otherwise I tell. Can someone tell me in the meantime what's going on? In the Mamar. Like what happened in the first 3 chapters? What are the themes that we're talking about over here? I'm sorry, what?
It's just that in Russian to English. You want me to talk? You asked what we're learning about?
Yeah. So that you start a book from chapter 4, you need to catch up. You need to know what's going on.
It was a lot of fun. And then it was explosion. I don't know how to say it. And the spark was like we have to collect all sparkles in our mold.
Okay. How do we do that?
Make a vessel.
Where do these sparks live? Where do they exist?
Everywhere.
Everywhere. Okay. Okay, so in chapter 4, he goes back to explain a pasuk that he brought in chapter 2. If you open up to Ace Base, you'll find a pasuk that's brought from Pashas Re'eh in Dvarim, and it says, "Ki menasa havaya likecha eschem lodas." You guys remember this pasuk? Yeah. Someone say yes. You said yes. What does it mean?
That Hashem is making nisyanot, bringing us nisyanot,
Right.
for us to have more da'at.
Good. Okay. So the simple understanding in the pasuk is, if you continue reading in the pasuk, so the simple understanding, and I always like when this changes the simple understanding a little bit. So it really, the punctuation is being changed here in Chassidus. So in the simple understanding, if you read the pasuk, do we have it here? I'll find this for you. Not so relevant, but it's what is it, Ray? But it's interesting how Chassidus does this.
Are you looking for Tehillim or?
No, it's a pasuk in Dvarim. This pasuk is brought from.
We have it.
Yeah. Go ahead then. Oh.
כי מנסה השם אלוהיכם אתם לדעת, השכם אוהבים את השם אלוהיכם בכל נפשם ובכל נפשם.
So what does it mean?
How much we love Hashem?
Here, so the whole pasuk reads like this. Leisishma es divri hanavi ahu, oya cholem acholem ahu, ki minas Hashem elekechem eskem ladas, hayishchem oyevim es Hashem elekechem b'chol levavcha b'chol nafshecha. What does that mean? It means, do not, the way it's translated here, do not listen to the words of the prophet or to that dreamer of a dream. The prophet is talking about not people that are not Nevi'im from Hashem. Because Hashem, your God, is testing you. Ki menasa Hashem elekechem. Menasa from the word nisayin, tests. That Hashem is testing you, ladas, to know whether you love Hashem, your God, wholeheartedly with your whole being. Right? That's the simple understanding of the pasuk. So ladas is in the middle of a sentence. It says ladas, to know if. It's right in the middle of a. And so Chassidus takes it and puts a period. And it says that Kimenas Hashem Elekechem ladas, period. That Hashem is testing you in order to achieve das. Anytime that das, the word das, is brought anywhere in Torah, so Chassidus always stops on it. Not, well, I can't say always. I don't know everything, or everything what it says everywhere. But it many times, das is a very specific word. And so here in the Mamar, it's read differently. It says V'hine ksiv. This is what it says in the second chapter. It's based. Ki minas Hashem lekechem ladas. That Hashem is testing you in order to know, in order to come to knowledge, in order to come to das. Okay. So that was an ice base. And then the Friedikker Rebbe went on to explain this concept of teva, of nature, and through the nisyonis of nature, in other words, that Hashem puts all of these things in front of us, where that test us, that challenge us, that stop us from doing the things that we're supposed to do. So then through the nisayin, of this test of showing us that things are different, that God is not in charge of the world, that the world runs itself, that it's random, whatever it is. So then through that we pass the test, we get to the other side of the test, we reveal something deeper. And that deeper thing is like what you were saying, the nitzutz, the spark. Basically the godliness, to use English words, the godliness, the Hashem that exists in the world, who's hiding behind these nisyonis, behind the teva, behind the nature. Okay. Yeah. So in chapter 4, Ois Daled, you see how he has it over there? It's clear here. Okay, good. So it says like this: V'zeu ki menasa havaya lekechem eskim ladas. So now we talked about it a little bit in chapter 2. So now the Friedikker Rebbe is going back and saying, and now that we understand what we said up until now, so now we can better understand what this pasuk said. Kol inyan hanisyonis ula'alis v'lagia ayedei havayda dafka lebechinas das. That all of the tests that we go throughout our lives, throughout our day, is in order to lift us up, to bring us to a place through the things that we do, to the bechina, to the level, to the state of das es havaya shuvulamayla min hateva, to know and to connect with Hashem, which is higher than teva, which is higher than nature. So how does that work? Very simple. If a person is dealing with the world as he sees it for face value, so then he's operating on a teva, on a nature level. Meaning nature is presenting to him with a reality. He's looking around the world, and the world is telling him that this is the way things run, and these are the rules, and this is how the world goes. And at that point, he has two choices. He can either see the teva for what it is, nature for what it is, which is something that Hashem has placed as a backdrop or as a curtain, as a fake reality, as a superficial reality for us to see beyond. Or we could look at it as the real reality. We could say, okay, this is the way it is, and play by those rules. These are the two options. And this is a test. It's a test to see if we choose to listen to what the Torah tells us, that the reality that we see in the world is just one that Hashem put there in order to make it look a certain way. And the whole thing is really a test. And the test is that we should look beyond it. We should look through it and understand that it's just a curtain, it's a veil, it's a facade, it's a mirage even. And we should look beyond it and we should see what's on the other side. If we see what's on the other side, so then we achieve two things. Number one, we rise up above nature. We operate on a level that's higher than nature our entire lives. Everything that happens with us is going to happen in a more miraculous and a more higher than nature way. And it goes both ways, of course. We'll start looking at things differently. Hashem will show us things that are different. He'll show us the things that are available on the next level. And then the second thing that it says here in the Mamar, and then so we're upgrading ourselves. We are taking the elevator, so to speak, to the next floor up. We are becoming upgraded as people, as human beings, living in this world. We're living on a higher plane, we have chosen a higher reality. And then also at the same time, we've also uplifted or upgraded the world itself, because what we've done is that we've broken apart something that's on the surface, and then we found and we revealed godliness that's within, which is the exact opposite of what nature is. Nature is here to tell you, nature screams, nature is designed to scream to you that God doesn't exist. And the world and the nature that's in it, that you see all around you, and the way the world works around you is random. Or at the very least, maybe it has some patterns, but it definitely has nothing to do with God. It has to do with your choices and other people's choices. And that's it. It's just the way it's the way the world works. And then what you do is that you break through that. You ignore that. You say, I'm not listening to you. I have other information. And then when you pull that curtain apart, so then Hashem is there hiding behind it. So what you've done is that not only have you upgraded yourself in order to learn how to see things differently, but you've also fulfilled the purpose of creation, which is to reveal how the very thing that's screaming that God doesn't exist, is actually the thing that was created by Him to hide Him, to cover over Him. And the only reason why Hashem put it there is in order for us to do that very thing, to both help ourselves as well as the world by revealing godliness in everything that's there. So like he says, the whole reason why Hashem gives us these tests in order so that we, through our work, through our service of Hashem, we're able to come to the level of das, which is to see Hashem, to know Hashem, which is higher than nature. Because the sparks, Shabbagalus, that have fallen into the exile, Ha'achron, this one that we find ourselves in, and especially now in the last moments of Galus, הניצוצה של ניסיונס שהניצוץ הליקי מוסתר ונעלם בהם ביוסר. So what we are dealing with now are sparks that are much, much more difficult to uncover. Why would Hashem do that? Why would Hashem give us the more difficult sparks to uncover? Doesn't that sound weird?
Because we have greater goals and greater ability.
For sure, but why us? When you think about people that you would give the harder sparks to fix, to reveal, don't you think that it may be a good idea if we would have given them to people, great sages, the big giants in Torah and Judaism and whatever, like from 1,000 years ago, 2,000 years ago, even 100 years ago, whatever, anyone but us. As you go back in the generations, you have greater generations with holier people and who served God with more purity or whatever, more holiness. Why? Also it doesn't really make so much sense. If you have like a big job, it's like you're supposed to do like the heavy stuff first, and then afterwards you do the light, right? It's like common sense that you deal with the heavy things, the difficult things first. As opposed to start with the little things and then later on and like leave like the worst to the end. It's like kind of like bad planning. It's like, get the important stuff, the difficult stuff out of the way first. But instead Hashem left the really hard stuff, the really deep sparks, or the sparks that are very deeply embedded and hard to find and hard to reveal, so that he gave us. So the Friedikker Rebbe says, "The zeh gufa hu hira al goydel shirish ma'alasan l'mayla yoser." So this tells us that while our soul seem to maybe to be less or lesser than previous generations, and the netzutzis, the sparks, seem to be especially deep and especially difficult to find and to reveal. So both of this has a reason. Both of this has a message to us here in this generation. So he says, "Ukumashal," and the way to understand this is with an example that you have Evan Shabaresh HaKaisel the Kishanayfa Lamata Hunaifel Berichok Min HaKaisel. Yeah. So let's say you have a wall, right? I think this was brought up earlier in the Mamar about an example of a wall that falls, right? Someone tell me what it's all about. Not sure. Anyone? Right. It's just simple. It's physics, right? It's a simple thing. So if the entire wall falls, so when you find the stones of the wall scattered all throughout the field or the ground where it fell, so the stones that are right next to the wall will be the stones that are where? That came from where on the wall? On the bottom, the lower stones. And the stones that are the farthest away from the wall, farthest away from the wreckage, is going to be the stones that were on top of the wall. So that's what happened when the world exploded, like you put it, and all of these sparks fell. So the smaller sparks, the lighter sparks, fell very close, and also because it only fell just a little bit, so it didn't go very deep into the ground. It just falls over to the ground. It's found there on the surface. But the stuff that's all the way on the top, when it falls with a lot more force and from much higher. And so therefore, not only does it go further, but it also goes deeper, right? The stones will fall into the ground and make, and make a hole and sink deeper into the ground. So the same thing is with this, that when the sparks fell, so the easy sparks that were at the bottom of the wall, meaning the ones that have a lower source, the ones that are less high, less spiritually high, so they fell and they were more easily found. They're on the surface. and the stuff that was all the way on the top, meaning the very highest level sparks that existed on the top of the wall, which is of course an example, but we're talking about levels in spirituality, levels in holiness, things that were closer to Hashem and farther from Hashem. So the things that were the closest to Hashem are the highest on the wall, so to speak. And then when those sparks fell, so they fell very far away and very deep and sunk very deep into the ground. And so the same thing could be said also about our neshamas, that our neshamas, while they seem to be very, very far and very deep and so on, and not as accessible as like the sparks that are close to the end of the wall, but we have to always look at the source. So this always looks to see what's on the inside of everything, to understand the premise of what it is that we're talking about. So just like the sparks that are very high fall very far and very deep, and they seem to be like way too difficult to deal with, and we don't actually understand or see why they're so special. We just see them as being more difficult to deal with. But if we understand the source, we understand why they're so far and so deep, then we understand that really they're the most precious sparks that exist because they come from the top of the wall. The same thing is also with us, that even though we seem to be very far from the generations that passed, even though it seems impossible that we'll be able to finish the task and to bring Mashiach, however, nevertheless, the souls that come from the greatest source fell the farthest, and seem like they're the farthest and the lowest and so on. But in reality, only our souls can live with such nisyanis, with such tests, and such darkness, and such difficulties, and such confusion, and so many lies. The olam hasheker, the world of lies, the lies that deny God's existence, and just plain lies are the strongest now and are the most out in full force than they've ever been. And so therefore these tests are not necessarily tests that earlier generations would have been able to handle, but rather it's only us, even though we think or feel that our souls are much lower, but in reality we're dealing with tests that people in previous generations, if we would have switched places and then they would be here, they wouldn't last at all. And you see, it's a very simple thing that if you look at all throughout history and you see all the different things that the Jewish people had trouble with, that struggled with, they struggled with serious things that, in spite of the fact that they had a tremendous amount of revelation, right? You look at the stories of the Chumash, you see the Jewish people were taken out of Egypt, and they saw open miracles. They saw the miracles of the 10 plagues. They saw the miracles of the Yam Suf. They saw the miracles of the giving of the Torah. They saw the man come from heaven. They saw the clouds of glory surround them. These are miracles that no other people, no other generation saw. It says that a simple person that knew nothing saw more godliness, more revelation, more prophecy on the Yam Suf in the splitting of the sea than Yecheskel saw, the great Nevi'im saw in their visions. And still they complained and they served idols and they did all types of terrible things. And sometimes indeed it's hard to imagine that they just saw God yesterday and then 40 days later they're serving idols and they're complaining again that there's no water, and there's no food, and there's no meat, and there's no cucumbers. And every 2 days they were complaining about something else. And then when they brought them to Eretz Yisrael, they complained about that also. And so when you read the stories, you start to wonder, like, what's up with these people? Like, what's going on? And the reality is that yes, if you were there. So when I was a kid, people said, no, if you were there, you would understand. It was a great test, and this and whatever, and they couldn't handle it. I says, but I don't, my opinion is that I don't agree. I think that if any one of us would be there with everything that we know and the souls that we have today, we would have stood up in those tests. We would have stood against, we would have overcome those tests. Because those people, even with all the reason why they had all of that revelation is because they needed it. And by the way, I completely forgot about Moshe Rabbeinu. They had Moshe Rabbeinu leading them every step, every turn. Moshe Rabbeinu was there, helping them, talking with them, encouraging them. And here we live in a generation without the splitting of the Red Sea, without the 10 plagues, and without any of these things, and without an open and revealed leadership of a Moshe Rabbeinu, especially on the level that they had in the desert. And there's no clouds of glory that are carrying us. There's no man that's falling from the heavens, etc., etc., etc. Go on and continue to finish the laundry list of miracles that happen on a daily basis for the Jewish people in the desert. But still you see that Jews, in spite of the fact that they have nothing, no revelation and no leadership and no nothing, somehow Jews are overcoming awesome tests. And they're staying firm and they're becoming firm in the face of an awesome amount of darkness and an awesome amount of tests, both in quality and in quantity. Yeah, makes sense. So that's why we, of all people, have been chosen in order to reveal these very deep sparks that have fallen into creation. So v'cheinu d'banitzutzus d'tov shenafel lamata b'yaser hine anitzutzus d'bnisyenis hem gvayim b'yaser v'nafel lamata b'yaser. So just like the sparks that are much higher fell much farther, much deeper, so too the tests are much higher and they fell further, and so therefore it's more difficult for us to uncover it. Hine inyan anisayin eni k'may shari dvarim hagashmim mizbarenim. Michael Gashmi, Shtia Gashmi, Shanitzes, Uba Michael, Amizbarer, Sharada Michael, Samichael, Hahu, Alpimitsu Satira, Shemvarechal of Tchila Visai, Bekofa Etzem Achilase, Ukidabai, Hina Ayesem, Mavara Samichael. So these Nisyanis, these tests that we experience today are not like, or the sparks that we reveal through overcoming these tests, are not like regular nitzutzis. They're not like the regular sparks that we find in regular physical things, like for instance in food. When a person takes something to eat and they make a bracha on it, they make a bracha before, they make a bracha afterwards, and then they do good things with the energy that they receive from eating the food. So it's something that happens automatically. It's an automatic thing that the spark that's within the food is revealed and it goes back to where it belongs. So the birur, the revelation of the spark, the extraction of the spark that's in the food, comes through working with or dealing with the person dealing with the food, working with the food, to make a bracha before and to eat it, to eat it properly. Just like any person that's eating something for the sake of heaven. And through that he eats the food, he himself becomes stronger, he has energy. And through this energy that he gets from the food, and he takes that energy and he learns and he davens and he helps people and he fulfills mitzvahs. So through that, what happens is that he's revealing the true reason for the food being here, or that Hashem put the food here, and he's uplifting or extracting the nitzvahs, extracting the spark that's within the food, and it's going back up to its source. It's going back up to God, to where it was originally. The same things with all physical things. The way that we extract the spark is through working with it. In other words, doing what it's meant to be done with. In other words, it's not anything that's hidden or difficult to figure out. You're doing with the thing, just like food. Food is meant to be eaten, so you're eating, but you're just eating in a way, you're eating like a Jew. So you make a bracha before and after, and of course the energy that you have from it, you're doing good things with it, as all Jews do. So this is a basic. You're doing things with these items, with these physical items that are normal. It's the way that they were designed. And the reason for this is so the reason for this is that being that the spark has been placed or has fallen into this physical object, or this physical food, or whatever it is. So therefore, the way to reveal it is to do something with the thing, with that physical thing. And through that it goes up into back to its source. So that's talking about just regular things, regular food, regular physical things. Every single thing has a purpose. You can either stuff your face with food because it's whatever, fill in the blank, tastes good, interesting, you enjoy eating, whatever, or just for whatever reason it makes sense to you, or you can choose to make a bracha and so on and do something good with it. All of that is just regular working and dealing and living in the world and dealing with physical things, but dealing with them in a way, or doing things with them in a way that reveals their purpose. It's like food, to use the energy to do something good with it. Masha'enkin, in contrast, so all of this is talking about regular stuff in the world. However, Masha'enkin, in contrast, when we're talking about test, the Eifin Abiri Hiloibe is Askus by Ba'atzmai. So the Nisayin, like we said, what is the test? The test is the teva. The test is the nature. So when you have a piece of food in front of you, so that is the job. That's what we're supposed to be working with. And the spark of godliness, God is hiding in that piece of food. However, when we're talking about nisyanis, when we're talking about tests, so tests are, like we said, it's an illusion, it's a mirage. It's just a curtain. The curtain has no value whatsoever. The curtain is only there in order to make you believe that you live in a place that looks like this, X. And the nisayin is for you to realize that it's only a curtain, it's only a backdrop, it's only Hollywood special effects. It's not real. And you have to push that curtain aside and then reveal what's behind, the real reality. And therefore, in that case, in that situation, the actual nisayin, the actual test, has no value whatsoever. There's nothing in there. It's just smoke and mirrors. It's just there to fool you. And the only thing that we're supposed to be doing with it is just seeing it for what it is. As soon as we see it for what it is, we realize that it's not reality. We're not looking at the real world. We're looking at a curtain or a backdrop that we're looking at that looks a certain way, but really isn't that at all. It's just an image. So then it falls away immediately, and then we see the real reality. So he says like this: however, in contrast with the nisyonis, with the test, the eifin abir, that the way that we deal with them, we don't work with the nisayin. We don't fight with the nisayin. The nisayin, the test, is there to be recognized as what it is, not to fight with it. So where is the spark found? The spark is found as within us. The test is there to push us to reveal a spark that's within us, that's deeper than where we're operating or where we are relating to within ourselves right now. Anyone understand that? Does that make sense? Sure. Again, the curtain you understand. There's no reason to fight with the curtain, right? You're fighting with an illusion. It's like now they have you have projectors that project an image on a wall. yeah, on a screen. But now you also have holograms. You have like 3D holograms, 4D holograms, where you could have they could video a person giving a class, and then they have a projector, a certain type of hologram projector, and they can project on at a desk, a stage, sitting at a table, walking, talking, whatever, a 4D person giving the class. Yeah, you ever see this? Yeah, this is like high-tech Disney special effects. So, and it looks, and if you're far enough back and the lighting is the thing, it looks like a real person, like an absolute real person. And but then when you go close to them, you realize that it's just you can see right through them. They're that's why I said you need the lighting that should be right, but it should look right. It should look real. But as soon as you come near to them, you can walk right through them. They're not real. It's just it's light that's being projected from a projector, and it's a hologram. They're not really there. It's a recording, or it's broadcasting, whatever, live, whatever it is. Either way, but the person is not really there. So the sign is the same thing. The sign is a hologram. The sign is that you don't go over to the hologram and you start fighting with them or arguing with them, because it's a recording and the person is not really there, and you can punch and kick and fight and throw things at the hologram as much as you want. It's just going to go right through them, and they're going to continue program as usual. Nothing's going to change. The way that you reveal that the Nisayan is just the Nisayan, or the hologram is just a hologram, is just by seeing it. You just have to look at it from a certain angle or with the right lighting, and suddenly you realize that the whole thing is just it's just an image that's walking around on the stage. So that's what the Nisayan is. Now, so where's the nitzutz? Where's the spark? In the food, the spark is in the food. But over here, the spark is not in the test. The spark is in you. So you are dealing on a certain level, right? Like we said before, a person chooses to look at life in a certain way. That's the way life deals with you. It's your choice. If you look at life as completely natural, that everything that you see, you take for face value, everything you see is real and it's tangible, you can touch it and feel it, and it's real, and that's what you react to. So then the world will deal with you in that way. If you look at the hologram in a certain angle and you realize that all this is just an illusion, it's all a mirage, and you see things in a different way, so then you've upgraded to a different type of life. You've chosen to look at things differently. You've chosen to see life differently. And therefore, life now will look to you differently in everywhere you go, in everything that you do. The world will suddenly look different. Once you realize that it's all an illusion, then nothing is all that scary anymore. You've upgraded. You've become a different person. You look at life differently. Your perspective has changed. And so therefore, everything that you see is different. And then everything that gets thrown at you looks different. So that's where the nitzutz is. The nitzutz is the spark over here, the advantage here, the godliness that's coming to enhance your life is something that happens when you are upgraded through ignoring or looking past the test that was placed in front of you. Does that make sense? Everyone with me? It's an incredible message of empowerment. That it's not you dealing with the world. It's not you that you were placed here and the world is and everything around you is and the people is, everything is, and you have to fight with it or deal with it or struggle with it or whatever. It's not it at all. You, the world is created for you. Everything that's placed around you is all orchestrated in a way in order to give you a test. And to see if you pass, to see if you see beyond it, to see if you see that just like there's a spark of godliness in every piece of food, there's also not only a spark, but a huge godly soul that's inside of you, and you are in charge. You're in charge of your own reality, you're in charge of your own world. You only have to choose. In charge? It's yours. It's yours. Your reality is yours. You decide how it looks and what happens with it. So, but you have to reveal the spark. What?
אחריות שלך, לא,
I don't know if it's achrayut. Achrayut is responsibility. It's not responsibility. It's that it's yours. It's you can do what you want with it. It's a chushrach. It's your life. You can do what you want with it. Yeah. Okay. Where am I? So that's what he says. That the test is not a thing of itself. It's just a test. And it's not comparable to all of the other physical things that we deal with and work with and eat and use, whatever, on a daily basis, where they are a thing for itself. And they have a spark in it, they have godliness in it. And so therefore, when you want to extract the spark of godliness or reveal the godliness that's within this thing, so then you have to do something with that thing, like the food. Torah mitzvahs, that you'll do it according to Torah mitzvahs in a Jewish way. But tests, it's not a thing. It seems so overwhelming. It seems so impossible to overcome. But as soon as you realize that it's nothingness, it's just an illusion. It's just there to conceal and to slow you down, to stop you. And this is its whole thing. That's all it's got. That it covers and stops you from moving on and moving to the next level. So therefore, the work to overcome comes from within you. Working on yourself to convince yourself, to explain to yourself that all this is just an assignment, we just have to move on and get over it. And as soon as you see that, then it all evaporates. To overcome, to understand that you're stronger than this, you're bigger than this, and to push it away. And this is done through revealing the spark that's within us, which is our godly soul that is within. Good? Any questions? Yeah?